It's no secret. It's plain to see. I love you. And you love me. It's no secret. You know it's true. You love me. And I love you. The only time we seem to meet is in the middle of the night. Only then can I feel your heartbeat. Till something's not right. Together I see you and me, always and all time. But not everyone would agree.
All right, guys, we'll start in 2 minutes.
It's no secret.
Nice.
It's plain to see.
Becca, you're going to have to be a good boy.
Yes, I love you. And you love me. And it's no secret. You know it's true. You love me. Yes, I love you.
There you go. I don't know what I'm doing, I guess. There she goes.
I don't think she can hear us.
I love it.
Okay, so I see Katie in there. Hi, Katie. How are you? Okay, so we're having some technical difficulties, maybe with Marcella. So I don't think she can hear us, Cynthia. Maybe text her on the side and see if, because maybe she's on delay. So I'm just going to start. So welcome to YNS Live with NFL Thread. We are bringing you another awesome guest. And what's really exciting is that, hold on, let me see if I can mute.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is, Katie, I know this is funny. Marcella can't.
Okay, because I can't. Yeah,
I wonder if I can
see
mute
y'all.
her.
Okay.
All right. Well, this is entertaining. This is going to be fun for recording.
Oh,
so
people can hear. Okay, see me. Okay.
Oh, so Cynthia's tell her. So maybe Cynthia tell her to mute.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Okay. So we're gonna start this again. Okay, Cynthia. It's so funny because she's not on mute, so we can hear her.
I know. I knew that. It was great. So yeah, she's good that we're on.
Okay, and can she hear us? Or
I let Marcella know that we're on. Yeah, exactly. So probably I'm gonna have. Can we remove Marcella from the show and then we'll just start fresh? Well, let's go into the green room first, and then we'll just start a little late because it does seem to be a little bit of a technical error.
Okay, so hold on one second because I need to then text Alice to see if she can come in because I don't know if we cancel it. I don't know that I can go back in.
Okay, let's just then work through this. So I cannot hear. I wonder if Marcella can speak. I feel bad.
I know. Can you text her?
No. So I wonder if I call. If we call, can you guys hear if I have it on my?
No, if you mute it and just tell. Well, I don't know if she knows how to mute herself. Her dog is going crazy. Oh, hi, Marwan. Okay, so. Let's see. I'm texting Alice. Marcella cannot hear us. We are in the show. See if she can mute,
ma'am.
Cynthia.
Can you see your little microphone?
I don't see anything right now.
Okay. Let's see.
You can hear her sweet little dog.
Okay. Am I out of the show?
No, she's still in the show.
Let's see. So how do I do? I'm so sorry. I hate being technology challenged. Oh.
Okay. So everyone that's listening, this happens on live shows,
I just
right?
happened
This
to find
happens.
them. It was total luck. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, I see. Okay,
So we are
see the
working
two
through
lines
this.
and the
This is what
microphone.
happens. And when you're a
the
live
two lines.
podcaster, you can't panic. You just have to keep going and going. Okay. So we're gonna see if we can get some technical help. But this is a YNS Live with NFL Thread show. And what's really exciting is tomorrow I fly out to Ohio for the Hall of Fame event. So we're going to be live. You guys can see that all if you're on Fireside. And if you're not, you guys, you need to get on Fireside because we're going to be live and we're going to be streaming those. So you'll be able to see whether if you're listening here on LinkedIn, if you're listening in any of these spots. But this is what's really fun is that we're how can I? So we're going to be. Oh, Cynthia, now I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Hey, Juliet.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Yeah. So what I'd like to do, and this is kind of cool that this is happening, but I was wondering if I exited the show and then went into the green room with Marcella.
Oh yes, and I'll keep because I'm talking about what we're
and
doing
then you
this
can
week.
just stay on, right? And you can
Yep.
just talk about what we're doing for the Hall of Fame and all that great stuff. And
Yep.
good.
So, and I'm Alice. I'm texting with her right now to confirm: is
Right.
there an issue that needs to be resolved? Yes,
Right.
big time.
And so
I'm going to tell her.
And so,
I'm going to tell her to go into the green room.
And I'll be able to go into the green room, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I'll invite her. Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Have a nice show. Make sure you tell the girls to come to the Hall of Fame. Come to Canton. Get on the podcast.
I will. So I'm going to tell Alice to meet you guys in the green room.
Green room. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
This is good. This is cool. Yep. I like it. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay, guys. So this is what happens, right? So when you're doing a live show, Marwan, I'm sure this is very entertaining to you. When you're doing a live show, sometimes what happens is there's technical difficulties. And I see that there's 5-4. I'm sure there's people leaving. Hey, LinkedIn watchers. So we have an awesome guest. Her name is Marcella Cruz. She's a fashion stylist and blogger. Her husband was a player and then a coach, huge coach. And her son also was in the NFL for a little bit, but the story is really, really cool. And how Marcella actually was a teacher for a while and then stopped to follow her passion in styling. And she styles people in Hollywood all over. So we're going to get to her story very shortly. But tomorrow I'm going to be flying to Canton, Ohio, and we are going to be at the Hall of Fame events, which is really exciting. So you guys are going to be able to see all of this behind the scenes. Again, if you tuned in when we were at the Super Bowl, you guys are going to get that experience as well. And if you notice, I have a little bit of a different setup because I'm doing this fireside from my computer, which is awesome because now when we go to Canton, Ohio, and all the events, we have all these ladies that are going to be coming in and talking. We're going to be at the Gold Jacket. So we're going to be doing on Friday, there's going to be 2 different shows at 2 different events. There's a luncheon, there's a fashion show, but then we're going to be going live with my fancy Shure microphone where we're going to be going live and on Fireside, which will be streamed, but just kind of red carpet, just like, hey, this looks like a good event, Gold Jacket, all of those things we're going to be able to broadcast and get some information to you guys, like why everyone is there. Obviously they're there for the ceremony, but there's going to be also some people that are there for other reasons. And those are the stories that we want to be able to broadcast live for you guys. Yes. Hold on one second. We're going in the green room. I have Cynthia in the green room and I have Marcella in the green room. And I'm sending some of the wonderful fireside people over there. So just give me 1 second so I can let them know. It's really fun to talk and type. I don't know if anyone that's listening to this knows that I'm dyslexic. This is really interesting. Let them know. So again, we have in about 5 minutes, we have Marcella Cruz coming on, her husband Casey, and her son is Casey. We're going to give you the perspective from a coach's wife, which is really cool. Her husband was in, he had tried out. We'll get the story from her. I don't want to kind of spoil anything, but she's going to give us the kind of lowdown and then how he got into coaching and he still coaches. So, and then when her son played for the Jets, there was a stint where he got to coach their sons, which is really cool. Hold on 1 second. So Alice will be there in 1 minute. Okay. So when we were in the green room, so anyone that doesn't know Fireside, the thing that's really cool, and one of the reasons why I love it so much is that there is a green room. So kind of if you think about any of like the talk shows, people go into a green room, they kind of, prepare themselves, they get their lighting right, all these different things. Fireside has that as well. So what's really fun is that we can go bring our guest in there. I can check their sound. I can check their lighting. I can ask them questions. I can show them how they're going to be broadcasting live. And then we can get a little bit, just like a quick high, kind of calm their nerves before we jump into the regular show. So she could hear us, but then right at the end, she's like, oh, wait, I can't hear you anymore. So we thought, you know what, let's just go. And then she couldn't get back into the green room. So then we decided, okay, let's go and start the show, thinking that possibly she was going to be able to hear us. That was not the case. So anyone that is joining now, we're having some technical difficulties. Cynthia Zordich, who is my co-host, and our guest, Marcella Cruz, will be back in about 2 minutes. I'm sorry, Marcella Rodgers. So it's Casey Rodgers. She goes by Marcella Cruz Rodgers. And her story is really fascinating. We're going to give you a little bit of insight of a coach's wife and then her son also played. So again, just like Cynthia, her husband played for 12 years. Her son, if you guys haven't checked out that episode, Michael Zordich's episode, it's a really great one. And we call him Michael Vincent. He got injured on one of his first plays in kind of camp and then was never able to rehabilitate and get it. And so he became a rancher, which is really cool. But having a father that's been in the league for 12 years, the expectations that come with society, not their family, but society, and kind of navigating that. It's a really great story. So you can definitely check that out here on Fireside, or you can go to my podcast, which is Your Next Stop, and you can see that there. But again, if you guys are just tuning in, tomorrow I fly to Canton, Ohio, meet Cynthia. We are there for all of the Hall of Fame events, which is really awesome. We're going to have our booth. If you did not see, and I shouldn't say booth, our podcast kind of roaming studio. And then we're also going to have our podcast station where we have, our backdrop, and we're going to have 2 microphones and people coming in and out and talking, which is going to be really great. So we're going to get you stories of when people go to these different events. Why are they there? Are they there just for the inductees for the gold jacket? Are they there, to network? Are they there because, someone in their family is being celebrated? All of the different things are really cool. And those are the stories that we want to bring you guys. And that's why we created YNS Live with NFL Thread, to bring those stories, to bring you inside stories from the NFL, from the wives' perspective. And then also, if you have not seen our new show, which is YNS Live with NFL Thread Pivot, that is where we're speaking with players. So where they went from, being from college, kind of like touching on a little bit of their history. Were they, someone that played football their whole life? Was it something they fell into? I'm thinking of Joe Barksdale. He kind of got into it because he got kicked out of engineering camp. You can hear that story, why that happened. And then someone like Michael Vincent Zordich, who, loved the sport, watched his dad, just thought this is something that you do, and how he then pivoted when he became out of the league. He's a rancher right now. Super cool. Joe Barksdale is a musician and a comedian. We just also had Russell Shepard on, which again, a really cool story. He had a $10 million contract and then started a business before he actually had gotten that contract because he knew that football wasn't going to be there forever. So that's another one that's actually coming out Thursday, but you can check it out here on Fireside. And which is, it's so fascinating to me as an athlete. If you don't know, I played 2 college sports. I played sports my whole life. Obviously, I didn't go, there was no professional for my 2 sports. I played field hockey and lacrosse, but just having that athletic mindset and then kind of talking to people in the NFL that have been at all these different levels and how they get there, how they do it with their mindset, how, what happens when they get injured, what happens when they're not asked back. It's those stories that I feel like connect us. Stories connect us. Stories connect us to people. They make us feel either, I like that person a little bit more, or, I don't actually like that person a little bit more. It's a very intimate thing when you hear someone's story. And it doesn't have to be a vulnerable story, but just details of someone's stories are going to connect you deeper. And that's why Cynthia and I started our NFL kind of series and segments, because I was fascinated when I had Cynthia on Your Next Stop. I was fascinated with her story, and I wanted to get that out there. And so we kind of collaborated and said, let's do this more. And then when she was telling me about at the Super Bowl, all these different events that happened before the Super Bowl, at the draft, events that happened before the actual draft, and at the Hall of Fame, things that happened before the Hall of Fame, that we as society that are not in the league or not touched by the league, we don't know. And those are the stories that fascinated me. So the luncheon at the Super Bowl, it's a networking thing. It's to keep the women together. Cynthia started NFL Thread as kind of I want to keep the women and moms and people together so we can network. If our husbands get transferred, we can go look in NFL Thread who is in that, who's on that team that I knew that I could connect with. Or after you leave the league, I'm going to be in Cincinnati. Who's there? What are they doing? They might be an attorney. They might be a realtor. They might own a shop. They might be a stylist like Marcella. So there's so many different things that kept, this NFL Thread kept people together. So I wanted to give the voice to that. So again, when we are at the Hall of Fame, there's going to be a luncheon. We're going to be broadcasting live there. We're going to be talking to the women. Why are you here? Not just for the ceremonies, but what else? And what is your story? What do you do? What are your passions? Have you started a business? The thing that I have been fascinated by is every person that we've interviewed it's really interesting for me to see what else they do. And so many have charities. So many of the women have their own, they're entrepreneurs. They've started their own things, blogs. It runs so deep that it's really, really cool to be able to be here and share those stories with you guys. And I'm going to bring up the Waitbot for 1 minute, and I'm just going to see what's going on to see if we are able to kind of get this started or if this is something that's going to have to be rescheduled. I so appreciate you guys in the audience right now. Hi, Valerie. How are you? You're so awesome to be here. That's the thing. If you guys are going to be anyone let me shout that out before I put the Waitbot up. If you guys are going to be in Canton, or people that are going to be in Canton, please make sure they check out YNS Live with NFL Thread podcast. Get them on the stories. Get them to be able to share why they're there or what they're doing. If you guys followed the Super Bowl event that we did and then followed any of our social media, Cynthia Zordich, that's her social media, or NFL Thread, or you've followed my Instagram, which is I am Juliette Hahn, or you follow me on LinkedIn, which is Juliette Hahn, or YouTube, any of them, you will have seen little clips that we have done from that whole 3-hour luncheon where we got little snippets, and then we were able to promote each person that came on. So if you're going to be at the Hall of Fame event, please, please, please head over, say hi to us, let us know why you're there, what you're doing, and we'll get your story out there. We'll create some really cool graphics for you. We'll be able to give you kind of like a little voice of what you're doing. But let me, I'm going to put the weight bot up for a second. And if you guys can give me 5 minutes, we'll pretend this is like intermission. If you have to go to the bathroom or get some water, please go. Okay. We are back from intermission. Hey, everyone on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, what else? Twitch. So if you're just tuning in, this is supposed to be YNS Live with NFL Thread and our guest, Marcella Rodgers, who is an amazing stylist, fashion stylist blogger. She actually was a teacher for a while and retired that to follow a passion. Her husband is Casey Rodgers, who is a coach. Her son is Casey Rodgers the second, who is a player and now is a huge real estate in Texas. So we are having some technical difficulties on her side. And so Cynthia is in the green room with some of the fireside guys helping her out. And I'm here just kind of placeholding and letting you guys know that tomorrow I fly out to Canton, Ohio for the Hall of Fame events, which is really, really cool. I'm so honored to be able to do that. If you guys are there or know people that are going to be there, if anyone in the NFL is out there or anyone, is like, oh, wait, I know my friend's going to be there because her husband played, have them stop by. We are YNS Live with NFL Thread. We are going to be broadcasting live. So that's going to be Friday. However, throughout. So on Thursday and Saturday, we're going to be going rogue with my portable mic and we're going to be going on Fireside, just kind of tuning in, letting you guys see some stuff that happens behind the scene that maybe you wouldn't see, which is really, really fun. I'm so honored to be able to do that with Cynthia. And we're going to bring you stories. We're going to bring you stories of why, other than seeing the events at the Hall of Fame, why other people are there. So why the women are there, what they do, their story. Hey, Cynthia, their story. And so if you guys are there, if you're in Ohio, hey, Fletcher, thanks for broadcasting live, Marwan. If you guys are there, please stop by and check YNS Live with NFL Thread out. Again, if you're on Fireside or if you're LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, any of those places, we're going to be doing, as I said, we have this really cool portable mic and we're going to be doing some like kind of rogue behind the scenes, man on the street kind of things, interviewing people, just talking to people. And then we also have our podcast booth, which will be there on Thursday and Friday where we're going to be broadcasting live. And if you're in Fireside, you can see that in the app. You can actually RSVP so you can get the notification when we go live. Oh, I'm sorry, Cynthia. I didn't realize that you couldn't get up there. Totally my bad. Hold on. Let me get you. If you go to your 2 lines, is it not there? Invite to video. So that's what we're going to be doing. So Cynthia and I are going to be there. I was just explaining, Cynthia, that Marcella is having some technical difficulties, but
She's good.
Oh, she's coming in.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, all we have to do is invite her in and she's good to go.
Okay, so what happened? Do we know?
Oh, it's the mystery of technical world. One thing I did learn is that if you're on the iPad and you have it horizontal so that you are horizontal, you don't see any of your prompts. So you have to spin it. That's what we did discover.
That's why. Okay. Yeah. So I don't, you might have to share with your followers too, because I don't know that was one thing that we didn't get to do in the green room is have to make sure that she was following me.
Yeah.
So she's not going to get my invite. So if you go to those two little lines and do that.
So I need to invite Marcella. Okay. Hold on. I was sharing to the world.
Yep. If she's in the app, she'll see that the show is going. She's just not going to get my prompt because I don't know if we're following each other.
Okay.
I know I'm following her. I don't know that she was like following from that link. I don't know.
Okay.
So everyone, thank you. If you're here on LinkedIn, if you were here on YouTube, if you're here Twitch or Facebook, thank you for being patient and listening to me go on and on. Okay, so all right, so thank you, Alice, for saving the day. We appreciate it. So again, if you guys are going to be in Canton, Ohio, please stop by YNS Live with NFL Thread booth. We're going to be there broadcasting live. And we also are going to be doing man on the street with my really trusty, fun, Shure microphone, where we're going to be kind of asking people what they're there, talking to people. It's going to be really, really fun. So if you guys are in Canton, Ohio, please stop by the YNS Live with NFL Thread booth. We're going to be sharing stories just like we are doing right now. So I'm going to restart this. Marcella, I invited you to, there you are. So
am I upside down?
You're sideways. Cynthia,
okay.
So twist it and Cynthia, you're muted. There you are. All right. This is what I was saying to everyone. This happens on live. Yeah, this happens on live shows. So there's, no stress. It happens. We're here. We got everyone, and they're going to be excited to hear. There's a bunch of people that stayed the course and is waiting for your amazing story. So welcome everyone to YNS Live with NFL Thread. My co-host Cynthia Zordich and our guest Marcella Rodgers, who is a fashion stylist and blogger. And I'm really excited for her to be able to share her story because as I said to you guys, there's pivots and throughout everyone's life. Marcella was a teacher for many years and then followed her passion. So what I'm going to ask everyone to do though in the audience, and Marcella, if you can do this as well, if you go to those two little lines at the bottom, and if you can't, if you're like, I'm not doing anything, I'm just going to stand, that is okay as well. But there's two little lines at the bottom and you can see where you can broadcast to the world. So you can send emails, you can text people, you can send, you can put it to Facebook, you can put it to Twitter. There's many different places that you can do that. So perfect. And anyone in the audience, if you guys, I know there's a bunch of people that was doing it. So welcome Cynthia, who is my trusty co-host. And
I better and we're going to
You're good. No worries. And then as this is when we replay this, you'll see Marcella's picture and get all that. We just want to get her story out there. Yeah, which will be great. So Cynthia, do you want to add anything? I think we lost Marcella. Hold on.
She'll come back.
I'm inviting you to video again.
Marcella.
There you are.
Yeah. And, this is fun because she's an Android girl, so this is all, you really went over and above to join us today. And I really appreciate it, Marcella. And Marcella goes by Marcella Cruz Rodgers, which is really cool because, my niece is also Puerto Rican. And I love how in the Puerto Rican culture, they share the mother's name throughout the generations. Like everybody is very aware of who the families are. So when we talked about it, I love that you have that Cruz in there and that your son has Cruz in his name. And I like that.
Thank you. It's very important.
It is. Yes, my Italian friends are like that too. My girlfriend, Cynthia Capuccio, well, her name's Cynthia Capuccio Need. She named all of her daughters, like she threw in the last names because she was like, this is who I am, I'm a Capuccio.
Exactly. We do all the work. I mean, I carried that little buddy for 41 weeks. Let me tell you, he's going to have my name.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Right.
41 weeks though. Wow, girly.
Yes, he was not ready to come out. 41 long weeks.
I hear you. I had all three of mine relate. I was like, okay, come on. They didn't want to leave. I hear you.
Over, dude. Hop out.
Right. Totally. So I also want to welcome everyone on LinkedIn because I know we've had people coming in and out. I've been telling them to come back. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And if you're listening in on the replay, this is one of these stories. I actually met Marcella at the Super Bowl events that I was talking to you guys about before, which was really fun. And I know, Cynthia, she gifted you this gorgeous scarf and we, talked about that, how beautiful. So I want to get into, this story. So if you can give us a little background about who you are, how you met your husband, Casey, a little bit about, and it can be as just a kind of a glimpse so we can kind of feel who you are, your background. We already know that you're Puerto Rican, so I love that, but just give us a little bit of the meat.
Right. Actually, I was telling Cynthia this, and she understands. He is not my husband. He is my life partner. And so, we actually met, and I am half Black, half Puerto Rican. So I have to give that shout out to my mother, who is a strong Black sister, and my father, who is Puerto Rican. But Casey and I met in college. We are both Tennessee graduates. Go Vols! So shout out to any UT volunteers listening. Please make sure that you say hi in the chat. But we went to college together. And as a matter of fact, I didn't date athletes. That's a real fun story. That was taboo. My great uncle, who was affectionately called Cap by all the football players, was the personal bodyguard to the head coach, the head coaches of the Tennessee Volunteers for over 30 years. So whatever head coach came in, he was their personal bodyguard. And so once I got to college, he made it very clear in the locker room, don't go near her.
I love that.
Yeah, that's my little niece. And, you guys are, full of hormones and you're not to touch her. So the way Casey and I actually met was I was a tutor for the athletic department, and I also was a vol hostess. And our vol hostess program was the program where when a recruit and his family came into town, we were the young ladies who walked them around campus, kind of told them about the university and recruited them, to the university. So Casey and I would often get paired up together to bring in a recruit because, I was kind of nerdy, really smart, and, the mothers liked me, they wanted that nerdy girl that was going to tell their sons about school, getting the education, they didn't want the party girl. They wanted to think that, their son was going to go to school and get an education. And so the coaches would often pair the two of us up together because they knew that their son was going to go out later and have a good time with Casey, but the mom was going to get the sweet little Southern, girl, Marcella. And so we often, I think only one guy we didn't get. We always got our recruit. We always signed our guy. And so we were kind of, known as a good little team there, tag team. And we were friends. We were, best friends, didn't date. And so, one day he just, asked, he said, I think I want to go out with you. And I was like, well, I don't think that's a possibility. And so, I asked my cousin JJ McCluskey, who also played for Tennessee, or he went to Tennessee. I had to make sure I say that correctly because they were student athletes, and so he went to school at Tennessee on an athletic scholarship. And so I asked him. I said, "Do you think it's okay if I go out with JJ?" And he's like, "No." I mean, if I go out with Casey, and he's like, "No." And I was like, "Come on," He said, "Okay, fine." And so he said it was okay. Let me go out with Casey, and the rest is history. So sorry for the long.
No sorries. I love that.
I love it. Hey,
Yeah, you need the
Marcella,
backstory.
Who was the head coach at Tennessee when you were doing the recruiting?
Johnny Majors.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to say that.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love him.
Oh my gosh, me too. I
I
absolutely
miss
love
him. I used to meet Johnny Majors because he was also Pitt, and he brought Pitt to the national championship. And I'm a Pittsburgh girl.
Yes.
So when he was at Pitt and then retired before he moved back to Tennessee, he and I used to go to lunch all the time, and he would tell me stories, and he was the most perfect gentleman. I miss him.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. He was a gentleman, and he had those guys wearing suit coats and ties, and if they didn't have a suit coat and tie, he would, find a way to get them a suit coat and tie. Somebody donate a suit coat and tie. He'd talk to, coaches, that were near their size. Hey, you got an old jacket, and tie. He taught those guys to be gentlemen. He would have them take interviewing classes before they were allowed to speak to the media. So they were
amazing.
Oh yeah, so they weren't up there,
Right.
He made sure that they were successful beyond the field.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I mean,
important.
my goodness. And at Pitt also, I mean, our group of friends, I had so many friends from Penn Hills, and one of them was Bill Freilich, and he had this huge outing, and Johnny Majors never missed it. That's actually where I met him. And, just all around him, the play, just seeing our friends years after they were done playing stand up straight, and just the smiles and the embraces and the love between them, and all of the coaching staff that was there again, and all the players. And so we just became quick friends and worked on a couple projects together. And every time I went to Pittsburgh, I let him know I was there, and we would just meet somewhere for lunch. And it was always the best conversation.
Definitely.
And I just loved him. Yeah, that's great.
I think Casey would definitely attribute his, coaching style and professionalism to Coach Majors. He'd definitely say that because, what our quote, and you can ask any of Casey's players, if you say what was, the quote in his room, in his meeting room, it was, "We have standards."
Oh,
And
love
as a matter
that.
of fact, we would give gifts to our players at Christmas. Like, I would have, crafts made, Tiffany glass crafts made for the players and things like that. And I would have inscripted on there, "We have standards." And so, our players knew that was our mantra. We have standards. And
That's so cool.
yeah, and
so cool.
that's one of the things that he took away from being a player under such a wonderful man like Johnny Majors.
I'd like to see you bring that back and you put that somewhere, like every camp, they seem to have something cool, an expression. And today with hashtags, it's so awesome
It's
to
everywhere.
reintroduce that
We
It's
have
to the
everywhere.
game.
Yeah, with our family, and Casey has it everywhere in his office. I mean, he still uses it. That's my
That's awesome.
four-legged grandbaby. Sorry,
You're totally fine.
I just
He's
feel
trying
that.
to get in on the interview.
Yeah. I love it.
Sorry about that.
No,
But
no.
anyway, So yeah, ask away. Anything, ask away.
No, I
I
love
love
that. So I would love to know what made you want to go into education. So I know you had a stint in education, and then
Yes.
you kind of pivoted and followed your passion into styling. But what made you want to go into education in the beginning?
You know, in the beginning, when Casey and I first started out, I was actually in. We both have our undergraduate degrees in pre-law, political science, and I was headed to UT Law School when we had gotten engaged. And then, he up comes, 92 draft, and he goes off to Pittsburgh. And so, and we find out that, we're going to be parents. And no, wait, this is 91, sorry. We found out we're going to be parents, and all of a sudden we have to make some decisions here. And I thought, okay, am I really going to be able to have a law career and, support, my spouse's dreams of, an NFL career, and possibly moving around? Because in our home, NFL doesn't stand for National Football League, it stands for not for long. Just because, there's just the constant moving. And so it was at that point we decided together that I would go and get a master's degree in education instead, just because it would just make it a lot easier when, the moving started. And oh, did the moving start. Everybody needs a teacher, everywhere you need a teacher. And it's when you're an attorney, you really need to be in a place and stay in a place and establish yourself, establish a clientele. And as an educator, everywhere we moved, I was needed. It was very easy to get a job. And so that was pretty much what we decided as a family would be important. And also, we knew that Casey wouldn't be around; he wasn't going to be available. And so we thought, if we're going to start a family, I want to be with the children. I say children. We ended up only having one very special miracle child, Casey the second. But and he definitely was our miracle baby. But we just thought, okay, I'm going to be the one that is going to be with the child every day. So being an educator, I was at school all day, every day with our son, and bless his heart, he probably doesn't love that. He'll tell you a different story. Whenever y'all interview him, the story's going to be a whole lot different. I loved it. He hated it, I'm sure, but that's pretty much what led me into education.
So I love that. So that was it was a very on purpose thing. And it was because you guys were thinking of your future, which I think is so important for people to hear in stories, because so many people in life don't think, okay, well, what's going to be smart? What, they don't think ahead. So now, did you love teaching, or was it just as like, you knew it was good for the family?
I loved it, actually. So, I had wanted a house full of children. I come from a family of 4. And sorry about that. I come from a family of 4, and Casey comes from a family of 3. So, lots of children, lots of cousins. And so I was used to just, big families. And, when we found out that we weren't going to be able to have a big family, I thought teaching is perfect. Right. And I taught everything from pre-K to 4th grade. So I taught the younger ones, the ones that love their teachers. And so I got hugs every day and loved on, just like you would if you're a mama, And so it was great. It filled that need in me to mother and love and nurture. And so it was a dual blessing. It really was.
So it's so smart. I mean, my mom was a kindergarten teacher. Cynthia knows, actually, my mom taught some of all of Cynthia's kids and her sisters. So that's what's so cool about it. Like when you're a teacher, I know people that go into education because they were good in school. And It's very apparent when those teachers have your children, and maybe your children are not as strong in school. And you're like, well, wait a second, not everyone is good in school. We all have our talents. So it's very interesting to me to kind of talk to people that love, really get into teaching because they love it. But I love how yours was really on purpose, but then you fell in love with it. Yeah. And I think that is so smart.
Yes. And I have relationships with my students to this day. They'll friend me on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm invited to weddings. I'm invited to baby showers, and and I love it, and it there's, and I can't mess up the makeup. Oh, the waterworks are gonna start because there's, sorry.
Don't be
Uh,
sorry.
oh, there's nothing. There's nothing like when one of them comes to you, and I've had a few that come to you and say, um, I decided to be a teacher because of you, or um, you know, you you really changed my life. I
Gosh.
I wasn't accepted, as a student, or things didn't come easy to me, and you took the time to get to know me and understand
That's
my
beautiful.
my learning situation, and that was a thing in my classroom. I wrote my lesson plans to children who were auditory, kinesthetic, visual. I made my lesson plans that way because I realized that children were different, and so yeah, my classrooms were kind of set up a little differently than
And
most.
and I love that. And that's how so I'm dyslexic. We're a family of dyslexics. So everything that you're saying right now, I'm like, you would have been my teacher because, I had so many times and my, everyone, the listeners know, I was really good at communicating. So that was my strength. But then the second I had to write a paper or put something on paper, the teachers would say, you're not trying hard enough. You need to focus. And it wasn't it's just that I learned different. So I appreciate, and I know people listening appreciate that you saw that and changed your classroom for that. You and my mom would be kindred spirits because that's what she
Oh,
did.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, lots of visuals all over my classroom. It was just, just a fun classroom. Yeah.
Right. It's really interesting to me in that, here you are teaching and here Casey is coaching. And really, you're preparing those children for the type of person that he's going to get. And I'm sure there's a lot of times you were helpful to him in understanding how to get into somebody's head and how to work with, a young player that you might be able to, as a teacher, be helpful. Do you guys ever do that where you have these great conversations about that?
No. I'd like to be able to say, yes, we had that. We planned that. No. to be to be honest with you, yeah, Casey, he never brought his work home after he started coaching in the NFL. He started coaching college ball first, and when you're coaching in college, you are recruiting constantly. And so he would always be on the phone, he'd come through the door on the phone. And one night, little Casey just said, Dad, I need you present. You know,
Oh, mhm.
he just said, you come in that door and, I hadn't seen you all day and I need to talk to you and I need you. And so, I need you present. And so we had a deal where he had to shut that phone off and, he was done. And so it became a thing where you don't discuss work. And so from that point on, he never
Interesting.
discussed work. And so we really don't discuss his work. So I
That's
really don't.
beautiful.
Yeah, I have
Really.
no idea how he coaches his players, except his players, will tell me that he's hard. I hear from, because I'm very close to his players and their girlfriends, their wives to this day. Still, I'm Mama Rogers,
I
and
was going to say that. Mhm.
yeah, and I bake cakes for them, and that's their big reward when they win. They would get cakes. But I hear that he's very hard, but I don't really know how he coaches except for he's very hard.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love that honesty. I
I
love
love
the
that.
family coming together and saying, hey, this is, because some families are coaching families and the wives are very involved and they are really partners in the coaching. And, especially at the college level, I have found. And others are like, hey, no, we have our family to raise, so let's leave that at the door. And I think that's whatever works for that family. That's what makes it so beautiful. But I would imagine that as Casey was playing and young and all of his teams, that you were that mom that every kid came to, that brought everybody together. Tell us a little bit about that time in your life when Casey was little and just starting to play.
Well, and that was really fun. He played soccer. He started soccer at 3, And so that was fun, and that's hilarious because that's I called that kicking dirt, But at that age, they're just running around kicking each other. But he started out at playing soccer and baseball or t-ball and baseball, and then moved into basketball. His father didn't let him play football until he was in seventh grade. His philosophy, and to each his own. Everybody has their own philosophy about it, but his philosophy was he wasn't developmentally ready to play football until that age. He just feels like the body isn't ready. He worried about just the mind, literally, his
Yeah.
growing, and just, so he worried about physically, mentally, everything, that he doesn't think that they're ready until they're around seventh grade, 13 years of age. And so, but because I only had the one, I was that mom that had the big, pickup truck, or not pickup, Sequoia.
Minivan.
Yeah, the big
SUV.
Yeah, SUV. So I had the big SUV. So I was the mom that would pick up half the team and, drive everybody to and from the games. And, of course, we're discussing, what happened and what didn't happen. And so, yeah, that was always fun. I was definitely the team mom. And then when he started playing football, it was really interesting because it was funny. A lot of the moms would come to me and ask, I don't understand this position or that position, can you explain it to me? And that I could do.
Right.
Cynthia, just being around the game, we do understand the game a little bit more than the average. And so I was able to kind of say, okay, well, wide receivers typically should do this, and so maybe you could help your son this way, or this is what DBs typically do. And so I was able to be a little bit of a resource for the moms, and so that was really fun. But my son, and of course he got this from his dad. He always says, "I know just enough to be dangerous." I'm like, whatever. I know what I know.
So
You know, you know.
But
Yeah, it's like when we say something, and even if it's really good, they just kind of look at you and just laugh. They're like, "What did you just say? Like, are you really talking football with me right now?"
exactly. But it was fun. I mean, I attended all of Casey's games. His father was never able to attend. He never saw him play middle school. Well, he saw, I think, one middle school, but he never saw him play high school football at all. This when he started playing varsity football. Well, when he was playing junior varsity, of course, it was on Thursdays, so he was still in meetings when he was playing, and because that's on Thursday night, and then of course Friday night football. The guys get off early, but by the time Casey got to play, little Casey got to play Friday night football, his father had moved to the Dolphins. We were still in Dallas. And so he never got to see him play. It was very important for me to be able to be there for all those games because all he got to see was on a computer screen. He watched his games from his office live on the computer screen, but never got to see him in person. And so, I mean, you asked when he was, you didn't ask him when he was older, but that was.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was really interesting because I know I read that he, and I saw your husband saying he didn't get to see his AAU, he didn't get to see any of that stuff. But then when your son went to school in Florida, he was able to come and see. But he said that you never missed anything, that you were at everything,
every single game, and even in college. And when he played professionally, and it was really interesting because I think our son got 26 offers. It was such a blessing. He got 26 offers, scholarship offers coming out of high school.
Wow.
And and he ended up choosing the University of Miami. And so go Hurricanes. And it was funny because even Tennessee offered him, and our entire family goes to Tennessee. We're like, really, dude? You're not going to pick Tennessee? He's like, no, because I'm just going to be the other Casey Rodgers. He didn't want that. So he wanted to, set his own legacy. Plus, I think because we were at Miami at the time, or his father was coaching at Miami at the time. I think he thought, okay, it'd be a chance maybe for me to, be with my dad. And it was great because the Hurricanes and the Dolphins played in the same stadium. And it was really cool. I mean, they shared a locker room, yeah, it was really neat because on Saturdays, the Hurricanes had the stadium, and then on Sundays, the Dolphins had the stadium. And so it was the first time his dad actually got to see him play. If they were in town that week, if the Dolphins had a home game that week and the Hurricanes had a home game, then yeah, his dad got to see him play. And
That's
so
fantastic.
it was phenomenal. But it didn't matter if he was playing Boston, because they're in the ACC. It didn't matter if he was playing Boston College or Pitt, or if he was playing Kansas State. I was that mom that was there. There would be times when the team would arrive, I'd be the only parent there, and I'm like, "Hey, guy," and my son's like,
Oh my God, I love it.
yeah,
I love it.
he was so embarrassed, but
Uh-uh.
now I think he appreciates it. But at the time,
Yes, of course.
but the coaches and the teams walking through the hotel lobby, and I'm like, go Canes, and my son, Mom, chill. You're the only parent here. I'm like, exactly. I'm the only parent here, so I'm here to cheer for everybody and love on
Right.
everybody. And he's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
I
he
love
might
it.
have said that then, but I read an article from him when he was with the Jets, and
Yes.
it was a whole different story because he was just like singing your praises and the fact that you are that mom and you're like that super mom that doesn't miss anything. And I think that's fantastic. And before that, like talk about Canada, like that had to be an amazing experience for you.
That was so, oh my goodness, that was so fun. So yeah, he came out, and he only he got his degree in 4 years. So when he went, he wasn't redshirted. He went to school right away. Started playing right away. Got his degree in 4 years, and he came out and went to Kansas City, and they found an injury, and so he came home, rehabbed, and then his father knew a guy in Canada, and so set up an a workout for him. Went up there, just blew them away. It was
Yeah.
it was a great experience, and so he ended up making the roster up there. The first team he played for was Edmonton, and he won the Grey Cup. Oh
Oh,
my
that's
goodness!
awesome.
Oh, ladies, when I tell you that, first of all, I've never been so cold in my life.
Right.
It was in Manitoba. I was, I mean, chilly to the bone, but being on that field with him, with all that confetti and the trophy, and just, it was the best experience ever. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I again was at every single game. It didn't matter if it was, BC, British Columbia, if it was Vancouver, if it was Toronto, wherever he was, I was there. And then he went to Saskatchewan because the coach that was with Edmonton moved to Saskatchewan and wanted to take him with him. So he ended up playing for Saskatchewan for 3 years. And he was, like their franchise player there. He was, the leader. He was the defensive play caller and did really well. I mean, he had a 3-bedroom apartment up there. So one of those bedrooms was mine.
Right.
And so I basically lived in Canada, lived in Regina, Saskatchewan. It was
love it.
wonderful. Yeah, and went to all the games. And then his last season up there, he said, "You know what, Mom?" He said, I want to go to the away games by myself this time." He said, you've attended everything. You've always been there for me. He said, "I just want this experience with my teammates." He said, "Being at the home games is great, but this time I just want to do it by myself." I said, "Okay." He's growing up. He's maturing.
Yeah.
So that last season, I
His
just,
honesty. I love how he's like, hey, like you said that earlier with your husband, and now he's saying that to you. Like he just lets you guys know, which is like not always the case. We're always left guessing sometimes. We have to figure it out on our own based on their behavior. But he just says, no, this is what I need. I need you, Dad. And then now he's like, Mom, I need to be like my own person for these away games. I love that.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, backed off. And then, of course, he had an opportunity to come back to the States and I played in the NFL for his father. And so, yeah, that was a very interesting situation.
Yeah, I mean, reading that, but so I mean, I love this how this all kind of intertwined. So I have a question that's related but not related. So if we need to come back to it, it's fine. But when did you start the your style kind of blogging and all of that? So was that kind of a on purpose thing? Like, okay, I'm leaving teaching so I can be at all of his away games.
Right.
Or did it just happen? And then how did your business kind of come to fruition? Again, was that something, it seems like that you're very a thoughtful person. So was that thought out or did that kind of just happen?
No, you are spot on. It was a thoughtful process. I started the business part-time when Casey turned 13.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And what happened when he turned 13? What did I tell you?
He played football. Yeah, he
started
played
playing
football.
And so, I started it part-time deliberately because I didn't know where it was going to go. I needed to see if it was going to take, if it was going to be a sustainable business. And so, and everything we do as a family is thought out. Big Casey, I refer to him Big Casey and Little Casey my son is Tweet, that's his nickname. And now it's out there world. Sorry, Tweet. I mean, but you just know.
I like that.
But in conversations, in adult conversations, I say Big Casey and Little Casey. But Big Casey grew up, in very humble household. His parents, hard workers. And so for him, he always said, everybody in our household is going to work. Everybody's going to work. Everybody's going to contribute. And so, everything we do is planned and thought out. And so I knew that to be able to support him, little Casey, full time, I was going to have to be able to replace that teaching salary with something else, even though it's not like we really use my teaching salary much. But, again,
Yeah.
in my household, everybody works.
Everybody contributes.
There you go. Everybody contributes. And so I started, the fashion job part-time because at that time, that's all it was. It wasn't a career yet when Casey was in 7th grade. And so after like a season or two of doing it, I was making more money part-time than I was teaching. And so I was like, okay, I see that this is going to be able to be a sustainable business. So after, 7th, 8th grade, because my plan was by the time he hit 9th grade, we knew Casey was in a Christian school and I was teaching at that Christian school. We knew we were going to move him to the public high school because, Big Casey felt like in the public high school, you're going to get more opportunities. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that by the time he got to 9th grade, I wanted to leave teaching and be available to him full time. And so by the time that happened, my fashion career was booming. It was, full term. And, the company that I work with, Cabby, it started 20 years ago, and I've been with them for 17 of those years now.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's so fantastic.
So, yeah. So it was like, you were dead on. It was definitely thought out, planned, and so.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it seems like as you were talking, I was like, I have to ask that because I have a feeling that this wasn't like something that just, happened. And I think it's so important for the listeners, also the NFL women and community to think, okay, there are things that happen accidental, right? There's things that happen because, again, everyone knows that listens to these podcasts. I believe we all have a path, whether it's God or the universe, whatever you believe in. I believe in God, but I do believe that, we are born and we have a path, but we all don't find it. It doesn't always happen. But so I love that you guys were thoughtful in your path. Now, I'm going to bring it very spiritual for a second. Is this something that you like would pray on and figure it out, or just something that you guys were like very direct, like, okay, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen, or was it something that it was a conversation in your family and it just naturally happened?
It's a combination. Everything we do is prayerfully sought out. Every single, thing that we do, every step, nothing's done before, taking it before the Lord first. Everything. And because Jeremiah 29:11 is our family's scripture. That's what our family stands on, because we know that his plan is to prosper us and, not to harm us. And so we definitely pray on everything first. And then we look and see, okay, what opportunities did he place before us? And we know that, okay, then that's the answer. And so, that's kind of how we've always, dealt with it. It's like, okay, we prayed about it. This opportunity has presented itself. That's the answer. That's, the Holy Spirit saying, okay, here you go. Here's your answer.
So I think that's beautiful. And I think it's really important that I brought that up, because someone's going to listen to this and be like, well, okay, how do they just know all the time? So I kind of got an intuition that I was like, what, I feel like they're praying behind the scenes there. And again, because I really believe in that when you pray or you daydream or my thing is, some people call it meditation. I call it daydreaming, to find that spot, to be able to do that. I do it when I'm walking. I can't sit and daydream or meditate. I have to be walking and moving. And when I do that is when I come up with ideas, and then I pray, okay, show me where I'm supposed to be doing. What did you put me on this earth to do? Tell me about it. And then as you continue to daydream and think is when that happens. Now, someone can be listening to this and saying, okay, well, I am not spiritual, but I feel like it's the same thing with the universe. You can be talking to the universe and getting the same results in your own way. I just happen to believe in God. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important.
No, definitely. I agree. And a business like this, it was perfect, not only for being the mom of a very busy child, but just being the partner of a very busy man, being Casey's partner. It allowed me to just be available to him as well. I was telling Cynthia, she and I were talking. I have coaches' wives on my team that do this business with me. I've had other NFL wives who've done this business alongside me. It's a great business for women who need to be able to support their families, support their partners, just whatever, wherever you are in your walk. It's just been a great business for that. So that's my little PSA out there, my little plug.
No, I love that.
It's so important to me too, because you talk about here you find Cabby when they're just getting started, and you now have found a family outside of your own family and a passion outside of the game. And what I always say, and we already talked about this earlier, is that not only are you gifting your son with being able to be present for him, but you're also gifting your husband in that you are finding your own passion, which allows him to pursue his passion without that worry that you're not fulfilled or he's not there for you, because as a coach's wife, they just can't be there. They just really can't be there. And you do kind of we always say, let's do this until it doesn't work. And for me, what I have always found is having my own passion, like you have your own passion with Cabby, makes it work, because I'm so busy too. And I also can respect that he's so busy, and it isn't about not wanting to be with me or the family. It's about being committed to really taking care of the family, but also being committed to your craft and to what you do and your profession. So I love that you are showing a lot of coaches' wives who really are, we really do kind of lean on each other. Hey, you can do this on the side, and this is for you, and it's also for your family, and you can grow within this company. So, I hate to make you plug, but if you don't mind, how can people get involved, and tell us about how it works?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to, because that is another passion of mine as well. I just think women empowering women, there's nothing like it.
Yes.
I mean, we have got to lift one another up, and we've got to be there for one another. So, yay. It's
Yeah.
Yay, Brian. Yeah.
like round of applause.
Right.
You know, please, and hopefully we can, you all can put something in the thread. People, women can contact you all through the NFL thread to reach me. But yes, I am hiring. We're hiring. You know, being a stylist is so fulfilling to me. You know, again, just speaking spiritually, we are all created in His image, and but a lot of women, they don't dress appropriately for their body type or their, you know, shape or their size. And so the first time I put a woman in the right clothing and she sees herself in the mirror, and she, you know, she starts to just tear up and go, oh my gosh, you know, I'm beautiful. There's nothing more empowering than that. Yeah, and I love it. And so to, you know, have other women doing this business with me, yes, yeah, I love it. And the thing I like most about Cabby is it's your own business. I work for myself. I set my own hours. You know, I decide when I want to have a cat. We call them Cabby experiences. I decide when, like the clothes here, my little clothes racks.
Nice. Right.
Yeah, I take these clothes and I set them up in women's homes, and you know, they bring friends over and we play dress up.
Fun.
You know, what more
Fun.
could you want to do? You know, we play dress up and I get paid to do that.
Right.
You know, it's I mean, it's just so much fun. And you know, for women that, you know, because you know, I've moved around a lot. NFL stands for not for long. You know, like I said, we've moved 15 times in our 32 years together. And so, you know, I have friends all over the country. And so I can get on like a podcast like this or get on Zoom, and I can show my collection to my friends in Colorado. I've got, you know, Angela Maxey, who lives in Colorado, loves purchasing, you know, Cabby from me. You know, her husband, Brett Maxey, was, you know, a longtime NFL player. He coaches at Colorado now. You know, so we get on and, you know, we talk about the clothes, and so just something like, you know, simple as that. You know, Ramonda Jordan, she's
Wanda, right.
yeah, another one that just, you know, loves the clothes. Tina Wilson, they're just, you know, women, and again, we don't even have to be in front of each other necessarily. We can just, you know, we can do it via Zoom, and so it's just a business that it's really easy for us because, again, you know, we move. You know, right now, Casey's at Tampa, but you know, what if he's at San Francisco next season? Or, you know, you just, it's a business that moves with you. You know, you can take it with you, and it's great because, again, we have friends all over the country, which is another blessing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, bringing the girls, like reaching out, and there's so many things we can do together. There's a lot of things that we can do in putting it on thread. We could also do something really cool with off the field, you know, at one of our events. So we definitely should keep talking about that. I'm going to talk to Ramonda about that, about doing something fun together, like maybe one of your fun events, and tie it into like an off the field event and thread, just bring it all together.
Exactly. Well, yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I just think that these any type that you can bring your friends together and make them be engaged together, but then also when it comes to clothes, it's very psychological. And when you have a bunch of women there that are telling you, no, you're crazy, that looks amazing on you, and then you feel so empowered by it, and you feel so, okay, I'm going to buy this. I never would buy this, but I'm going to put this on. And it really does make you feel great when you have people there and you're in that type of environment. So that's just the social part of it. But then also, I'm sure you're like, hey, if you want to be a part of this and start your own business, I'm sure there's so many women that would be excited about that.
And that's, yes, I'm going to say that's the thing that I'm most passionate about. It's, you know, sure, I love these clothes, and, you know, I would love to meet some of the women and, you know, put them in some outfits and help them pull together a wardrobe that works for them. But even more importantly, giving them this business opportunity is just paramount to me. Offering this business opportunity to other women, that's my passion. That's really I have a lot of women right now who are on my team, and it's that to me is just it's a blessing. It's a blessing to work with them. So,
Yeah, and I think one thing that you touched on that I think is so important is like that's one of the reasons why Cynthia and I wanted to do this, because we want to give perspectives from all different angles, because everyone has a story, right? We all have a story. We all have intertwined stories. We all have good stories. We all have bad stories, but we all have stories that can connect us. And so there's someone listening to this going, okay, my husband's in the league. He's getting transferred all these places. I have aspirations and passions, but I keep getting them, drowned in or lost because I keep, I need to move with him because he is someone that I love and I've started a family with them. So those women are going to hear this and say, wait a second, I want to learn more about that. And if it's for them, that's great. That's why it's also, I love how you talked about the teaching thing, because I didn't even think about that, but right. You can teach in many different, you do have to get certified, but you can, it's not a hard thing to do. The other thing is, photography, right? You can do that, but that also you have to start your whole business over again, right? So there's different things that you have to think about. Real estate is another one, so I love having you guys on the show to really kind of introspectively talk to the audience, because it's not just NFL, spouses, wives, husbands that are going to get something from this, because women, as you said, women are women. And if you're a mom or you're, anything, people know that I took time off when I had my children. I purposely, stopped my career because I wanted to raise my kids. But then there was a time where my kids got to a certain age and I said, well, wait a second, I don't want to just be having lunch. That's just not me. I want to find something. So hearing a story like this could be like, well, wait a second, my husband's not moving all around, but I can still find something that's going to, make me have a passion. It's going to make me want to do something. So that's why I love having, these stories out there. Can you share with everyone where they also can find you? I mean, it's in the scroll right now. It will be in the show notes. We'll talk about it, in the beginning of the episode as we, move forward. But where can people find you and really kind of connect?
It's long, so I'll say it slow. It's www.marcellarogers.cabi, which is CABI, online, ONLINE.com.
Great. And as I said, we'll put that in the show notes so they'll see that when this episode goes live, which will be, a couple weeks. We'll be living here on Fireside. People can listen, but all the, the kind of the corresponding information will go out when the episode goes to all the podcast players. I just think it's, wonderful, again, what you have done. And I love hearing all your different pivots. I think it's so important and so exciting, and how thoughtful all those pivots were. Right. I think that's what's really cool. That fascinates me. Because some people are, that kind of, I know we talked about you pray on it and stuff like that, but still for you to be able to be like, we thought about it before, because not many people do that. Even if they pray on it, you have an idea what you want to do. But I love how you guys were so thoughtful and really, grounded in your choices and how they've worked, because you did the work and behind the scenes, with praying and all of that, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah. You have to have a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's important, and that's one thing that I share with my young, NFL wives and girlfriends, that you've got to have a plan. This life is not, going to last forever. The money's not going to last forever. You've got to have a plan. What's your plan?
Right.
So yeah,
Exactly.
It's important.
And I know, like, for sure, because like especially in the coaching world, it is what a network, and you're always looking for great advice. These girls come in, they're young, and they are just starting their families, and so like I know myself personally, and I can tell that you're the same way. I'm not quite about just offering any kind of like just a conversation. Like, what is it that you're needing? And, what is it that's going to make you fulfilled and to get through these long hours of being alone, really, when it comes down to it. And they're just always, I think, gracious. And I learn from them as well, because things change, and they're just, I learn so much from these kind of conversations too. So I think it's incredible that you're that person for them in Tampa and everywhere you are, everywhere.
Yes, because I actually live in Dallas, full time, and I just, I travel to a game here or there, but my husband's always telling me, "You're not making any tackles for me."
Stay there and be busy.
It's like, I'm like, do you want me to come to a game? And it's like, "No, you're not making any tackles for me, so."
So do what you love, but that's a great support. Like, do you and I'll do me, and we'll come together at the end of the day and be connected as a family where it is important. So I think that's such a beautiful thing and such a beautiful message. I really do. Cynthia, was there anything else that you wanted to add? Marcella, is anything else that you want to add?
No, I'm excited to put it up on, I'd love to do something where if we get one of the listeners, we'll figure out something fun to send them from Cabby so they can get a little taste of it. And I can I really would like to get that product out there. And so we'll figure that out after. But no, I think this is such a great show and honest. And I learned a lot just about the idea of, and I'm going to tell my kids about this because they're at that age, think and plan, think about what it is that you're doing and how what you're doing fits into your personal life. Maybe you can tweak it and make a good plan. And I think that I'm definitely going to share that with them.
But yes, I'm glad you brought that up, Cynthia, because I did mean to say I am going to give a listener because we just started yesterday, as a matter of fact, because today is August 1st. We just kicked off our new fall 22 season. Like, woo!
Yay, awesome.
So, and so I'm going to gift our new scarf. And Cynthia's got one. So I'm going to gift our new fall scarf to one of your listeners.
Oh, I love that.
That's awesome.
Oh, they're going to love it. That's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you. Cynthia, again, always thank you. You always bring such great guest. And Marcella, I loved hearing your story. And if you guys have questions, you know where to find us. I am Juliette Hahn on Instagram. LinkedIn, where I live a lot, is, Juliette Hahn. Cynthia is NFL Thread, and also Cynthia Zordich. You can find us on and also Cynthia's website. And where Marcella is, explained where she is also. And you do live on Instagram as well, right, Marcella? Because I know that people can DM you there as well. Style Motivation. Yep. 247.
Yes. Style Motivation 247. 24/7.
24/7.
I love it. Well, thank you again for joining YNS Live with NFL Thread. And guys, don't forget, if you are in Canton, Ohio, come see us, share your story, get on the podcast, and we will, see you guys again. Thank you so much again.